You may have heard about route planning before, or looked at websites or videos explaining what they are. But today I'm going to give you a new way of thinking about them. And after you've watched this, you'll either be able to say, yes, that was a better way of doing it, or you may say, no, that was a stupid idea and I'm going to stick to doing it in the way that I always have. Anyway, let's get started. This video is about route planning, and this leads to two questions. What is a route and why does it need planning? Okay, I know there are lots of people, by the way, who may have different ideas, but I would say, and don't forget, this is just my opinion, so it may be wrong, a route it's just one of the possible ways that you can take to get from one place to another. And the reason for that is there's often multiple ways to reach a destination, but your route is the way that you've decided to take, and this is where planning comes in. A route plan is it's a written record of the way that you're going to go from one place to another. And normally people plan, they plan to follow a line until they arrive at something, and then they'll follow another line. And these lines can be a compass bearing or a linear feature, like a stream or the edge of a forest. Or, a line can be just a general direction. I'll go north until I get to the outcrop and then I'll do something else. And you keep following these lines until you arrive at your destination. But I would say this isn't the best way. Maybe you should think about a route plan not as a number of lines, but as a series of points. And you'll be walking from one point to the next point. Can you see the difference? Following a line, it's very simple, and most of the time it will work until something unexpected happens. Which means that you can't follow the line anymore and your strategy will fail because you can't go along your planned route. As an example, let's say that you're a novice navigator, and you plan to follow well-defined tracks and paths, but what you find is a locked gate, going across a track, or you're following a path which leads through a field and you see that there's a herd of cows with young calves. Or you could be an intermediate navigator, so you don't need to stick to paths and tracks, and your plan involves following, compass bearings, directly across open terrain. Not only does this save you time, but it also makes the journey more interesting. In your plan, you'll have included factors like terrain types and contour lines, etc. And you've chosen a route which balances directness, for speed, and ease, so you don't get too tired. But what happens if you come across a stream that you'd intended to cross and you find that overnight it's become a deep and fast-flowing river? Or you could be an advanced navigator, and normally in this case your route plans would be based on lots of different factors, terrain types, weather, daylight hours, the group ability, etc., etc. Your routes don't just look for the quickest or the most direct route, but occasionally they'll take you to some really interesting places nearby that you think that your group would appreciate seeing or visiting, like a gate or a stone or a rock. Don't forget, there's always something interesting nearby. But what happens if you find that someone in your group simply can't scramble up some rough ground which is on your route plan, or the ground is waterlogged so you have to go all the way around? All these things mean that you can't follow the lines in your route plan, and because you can't follow that line until it joins on to the next line. So your route plan just isn't going to work. Today is the 31st of October, Halloween, and look what I found. Now normally I would sit on a rock like this, on a stone like this, and have a cup of tea and a sandwich. But even though I'm not really a superstitious person, today, Halloween, I think I'll find somewhere else to sit. Do you know what this is? This stone? This is Halloween, but for real. Anyway, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, route plans. Let's get back to route plans. Okay, let's stay focused and completely cut out the waffle. Oh, but if you do see any spirits floating down the lane behind me, let me know. Anyway, what was I saying? At the beginning of this video, I said I would give you a new way of thinking about route plans. And it's this, as I said, try not to think about them as a number of connected lines, but it's a better idea to think about a route as a series of points. You know, I'm talking about a lot of points here, by the way. You know, you can think about it like this. Wherever you are is a point. As an example, I'm here now. And now I'm here. And now I'm here. So you can also think about it every time you take a step. When your foot lands, that's another point. So your route plan is basically thousands of points, one after another. Okay, I know. You could ask, probably are, what's the difference between following a line and following a series of points? You know, you still go in the same direction towards something, whether it's following a line or following a series of points, which is basically just a line that's been drawn in a different way. Well, to understand the difference, you need to answer one simple question. What is the most important navigational thing you need to know when you're walking out in the countryside? And to answer this, I'm going to go to the top of this track and we'll have another chat when I arrive. Did you see what happened there? What happened? Yeah, I'd planned to go to the top of the track, but I set off in the wrong direction. And this is the most important navigational thing about any route. Whether you're a novice, an intermediate, or an advanced navigator, the most important thing is to know is, where do I go from here? You know, you can't just guess, you have to know. From here, which way do I go? You know, okay, when I'm following a line, that's simple, you know. I go in that direction. But again, you may not be able to follow that line all the way to the next line. So instead of thinking about the line as being continuous, you need to think about each and every point along that line as being here. I'm here, and now I'm here. This gives you a choice. Which way do I go from here? You know, so anywhere along the route, you can say that to yourself. So to cut out all this waffle, I'm going to reduce this to one single word: flexible. And the reason it's flexible is that you're not following a predetermined line, you're following a series of points. And at any one of those thousands of points, you can ask yourself, which way do I go from here? The answer may be, in fact it normally will be, to continue following your route plan. But if something stops you from doing this, it doesn't matter, because you can say, which way do I go from here? And if you're stopped by a locked gate, or you're standing at a river, which yesterday was a small stream, or at the bottom of some rough ground, which somebody in your group doesn't want to climb, it really doesn't matter, as you can change the route starting from where you are, from that point. You know, now it may be the answer, which way do I go from here, is to try and get back to the route that you'd planned. Or it could be that there's another way, you know, to the next waypoint or collecting feature, you know, from your current location. So you can stop using your route plan just for a while and go in a different direction. So by thinking about a route plan not as a number of interconnecting lines, you know, which you have to follow, it's much better to consider it as a series of points. And at each point, you can ask yourself, which way do I go from here? And this makes route planning much more flexible, which in turn makes your days in the hills, it makes it more enjoyable, less tiring, and more importantly, you're more likely to succeed in getting to your destination. Last thing, I've already done videos, you know, what should be in your route plan: starting points, waypoints, collecting features, leg descriptions, times, etc., etc. But the most important thing of all is to leave a copy of this with someone who is not going walking with you. It's vital. When you hear on the TV news about someone who's lost in the hills, try and imagine what you would be thinking if that was you. What information would you like the mountain rescue team to have? And that is the information that you put in your route plan. Thanks for watching.